Learning a language is not easy, and as somebody that's learned Swedish, I know that when I'm speaking my second language, I can make a ton of mistakes, and a lot of times I can say things that just downright sound funny to Swedish speakers. Now, before I get into this video, I want to start by saying that Swedes are some of the best non-native English speakers in the entire world. They go back and forth with the Netherlands on people that speak the best English where it's not their first language, but because it's not their native language, it's inevitable that sometimes they'll make some mistakes that can be quite funny for us native English speakers to hear. So in this video, I'm going to go over a few of those that I find especially amusing. Now in Swedish, there's a word called Orca, which is like having the energy or desire to do something, but we don't have like a direct translation in English for that word. So when I was teaching in Norrköping, I heard a student try to express their feeling of not wanting to do something, but they didn't have the right word for it. So when they were trying to speak English to me, they said, "I don't ork right now." And like in Swedish, you could say, "Jag orkar inte," like I don't want to do it. I don't have the energy for it. I don't have the desire to do it. Don't make me do it. And when he said, "I don't ork right now," I thought it was very interesting that he couldn't quite express himself because he couldn't find the direct translation. Something that's much more common in Swedish is because the J letter makes more of the Y sound, oftentimes for words that begin with the letter J in English, they can mix it up and maybe resort back to using the Y sound because I think that J sound can be hard for Swedes to pronounce. But this could sound like, "I want a glass of juice," which I don't even think use is a word in English, or maybe somebody's just joking around. These are things that even people that are really good at English can still have a little error on once in a while. Now, one really interesting thing about languages is how they use prepositions. Now, in every language, from English, German, Spanish, Swedish that I've studied all these languages at least a little bit, the words that they choose to use for prepositions can really differ from language to language for no really discernible meaning. Like, are you on something, in something, around something? You'd never really know. It can be different from language to language. But one time when I was teaching, I heard a very interesting sentence of a student that wanted to go to the bathroom. They said, "Can I go on the toilet?" I think for most native English speakers, when you hear "go on the toilet," that means like pee all over the toilet. Can I go on the toilet? I think what they meant to say is, "Can I go to the toilet?" which would make a little bit more sense for us native English speakers. Now this next one is one where if you try to translate it direct from Swedish, it can make sense, but if somebody doesn't have that background, it's just not going to make much sense. And that is for saying, "What time is it?" In Swedish, you could say, "Hur mycket är klockan?" And when you say that in English, it's "how much is the clock?" Which to an English speaker, that would sound like, "How much does the clock cost?" Like you're trying to buy it. The next one is another letter sound that can be tough for Swedish to pronounce, and that is the CH sound that makes the ch sound can sometimes be a little bit difficult. So oftentimes they'll accidentally replace this with the SH sound. So if they think something looks cheap, it might look sheep. Or maybe instead of "what are you watching on Netflix," "what are you washing on Netflix?" These are all things that if you just change that one little sound can change the entire meaning of the word and can definitely sound funny. And this last one that I find rather amusing is, it's not really a mistake, but it's something that in Swedish, they have the word for ID. They'll say legitimation, and they'll oftentimes just shorten it to leg. So one time I went to the Swedish liquor store and they heard me speaking English and they asked to see my leg. And obviously I had been in Sweden long enough that I knew they were asking for my ID, but I still made a joke about it and was like, "Hey, here's my leg. Which one do you want to see?" So you can't really directly translate leg to English because then it just sounds extremely funny. But then I started speaking Swedish to the guy, so he knew I was just messing around. Now there are a ton of different expressions. I just wanted to give you a few of the quick highlights of ones that stood out to me, but comment down below some of your favorite Swinglish expressions. With that, I'm gonna wrap this video up, so like, subscribe, do all those things that you guys like to do here on YouTube, and I will see you in the next one.